The episode begins in the dark, heavy silence of the night. Shocked and deeply concerned about her safety, Sehon steps back into Elf's house. Finding the front door completely unlocked, he grows anxious and tells her she shouldn't leave the house wide open when she is entirely alone, warning her that anyone could walk in. Seeing her numb state, he softly apologizes, clarifying that he doesn't want to overstep or make her feel like she is forced to rely on him. Knowing she is terrified of the dark, Sehon gently tells her to go upstairs and get some restful sleep while he stays downstairs to guard the house, promising to leave the minute the sun rises. He explains that since her mother Miriam was his dear friend, he carries a deep sense of responsibility toward her. As Elf sits alone in the dark, she flashes back to a warm, bittersweet memory with her mother. She remembers asking Miriam why she chose the name Elf. Miriam had laughingly explained that it was a trending name in Turkey at the time, adding that her father had chosen it, while Miriam preferred the name Elf. In the memory, Miriam recalls their ride to the hospital before the birth, where she told her husband that if anything ever happened to her, she wished to be buried back home in Pakistan, joking that she wanted to speak Urdu in the afterlife rather than trying to converse with neighboring graves in Turkish. When a younger elf asked if she was fascinated by death, Miriam softly replied that death is simply an inescapable reality. When dawn breaks, the morning light awakens a restless Sehon downstairs. Elf walks down, gently telling him that the morning azan, call to prayer, has finished, and it is officially morning, politely suggesting it is time for him to head home. Sehon nods, gathering his things and stepping out into the early morning light. Later that morning, Sehon storms into the hospital and aggressively confronts Elf's close colleagues and friends. He sharply reproaches them, asking what kind of friends they are to happily show up for a birthday party, but completely abandon Elf in her darkest hour of grief. The shocked friends admit they had absolutely no idea what happened. Sehon bluntly informs them that Elf's mother has passed away. He cuts through their administrative excuses about hospital shifts, ordering them to pack up immediately and follow him to Elf's house, promising he will personally handle any issues with the hospital administration. He tracks down another friend, Mina, and insists she joins them immediately to support Elf. At the house, Elf's friends embrace her, deeply sorrowful and apologizing for not knowing sooner. Elf hollowly explains that her mother's heart was simply too weak, and the heavy medications she had relied on for years had finally stopped working. Her friends marvel at how incredibly strong Miriam always was, keeping her immense pain hidden from the world. When the friends prepare to leave due to their own family commitments, Sehon tries to aggressively pressure them into staying for at least a full day, arguing that Elf has absolutely no one else. Sensing the tension, Elf steps in, thanks her friends for coming, and assures them she will be fine, forcing Sehon to back down and drive them home. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Chanda's condition is discussed. The doctor insists she must remain admitted for a while longer because the specialized orthopedic treatment her fractured foot requires cannot be managed at home. Chanda tries to protest, telling Sehon she wants to discharge early to relax at home, but Sehon firmly shuts down the idea, telling her she will not leave until the doctors give a full clearance. Chanda sighs, noting that life is completely unpredictable. People are beside you one moment and gone the next. Sehon takes her words deeply to heart, his protective instinct flaring up as Chanda notices he is becoming increasingly sensitive and intense given the recent tragedy. Alone in her room, Elf's grief twists into a cold, hardened resolve against her sister, Ilahi. Looking at her phone, she fiercely whispers to herself that since Ilahi broke their mother's heart and starved her of affection, she will teach her the true meaning of a broken heart. She vows to completely cut Ilahi off, ensuring her sister spends the rest of her life begging just to see her face. Shortly after, Sehon returns to the house and catches Elf preparing to leave. He asks where she is going, and she reveals she is heading back to the hospital to officially sign paperwork to donate her heart upon her death. Sehon is deeply unsettled, pointing out the painful irony that she can only donate her heart after she passes away, noting that if she could have given it while alive, she would have saved her own mother. He tells her she has a long life ahead of her, but Elf hollowly states that life is completely fragile. She then asks him to drop her off at the cemetery so she can sit with her mother. Sehon refuses to leave her side and insists on driving her there. Concurrently, a dangerous underworld conflict boils over. Ghazi Yusuf's headquarters is hit with massive shockwaves when an associate rushes in to report that the supervisor of their major site area warehouse has been brutally shot and murdered. The guard IDs the shooters as hitmen working for their fierce rival, Lala. Ghazi Yusuf explodes with rage, realizing Lala has launched a direct war. He frantically tries to call Seyhan, but the calls go straight to a disconnected line. He barks orders to trace his son, learning that Seyhan left the hospital hours ago and is completely off the grid. Sensing a deadly trap, Ghazi Yusuf orders his men to heavily compensate the dead supervisor's family and vows to unleash a lethal, calculated retaliation against Lala. At the cemetery, Seyhan stands quietly as Elf sits by Miriam's fresh grave. She thanks Seyhan for everything, telling him he can leave, but he refuses, asking if she isn't terrified of the graveyard. Elf softly admits that she used to be deeply afraid of the dark and the eerie silence of cemeteries, but now that her mother rests here, all of her fear has completely vanished. She breaks down over the grave, weeping that her mother left her completely stranded in a massive, uncaring world. Seyhan kneels beside her, comforting her by sharing his own lingering trauma of burying his mother. He tells her that in the end, everything in this world fades into nothingness, and all they have left to hold on to are the beautiful memories of the ones they lost. After leaving the cemetery, Elf appreciates his immense support and invites him inside for a cup of tea. Seyhan gladly accepts, putting his busy schedule on hold. While Seyhan is in the kitchen attempting to find the tea leaves, sugar, and milk, a sudden shadow falls over the house. A mysterious, older man steps inside through the open door. Seyhan instantly blocks him, aggressively demanding to know who he is and how he dared to trespass. The man calmly replies that why he is here matters far more than who he is. Turning to a frightened Elf, the man tells her not to fear him, introducing himself as Bilal Ahmed, declaring that he is the adoptive brother of her mother Miriam, who held him close to her heart. Bilal then looks at Seyhan and realizes he is Ghazi Yusuf's son. A sharp, explosive verbal sparring match ignites between the two men. Bilal mockingly refers to Ghazi Yusuf as a wretch, causing Seyhan to fiercely snap, warning Bilal to watch his tone and speak of his father with absolute respect. Seyhan states he is only holding back out of respect for Bilal's older age. Bilal counters with dark amusement, stating that Ghazi Yusuf is the one who taught him how to be ruthless. Seeing how terrified Elf is by the confrontation, Bilal backs down, suggesting Seyhan keep his respect while he keeps his weapons ready for the real fight. Bilal turns back to Elf, learning that Miriam passed away from a sudden heart attack. Bilal's eyes flash with a dangerous, vengeful fire as he mutters that Ghazi Yusuf struck Miriam directly in the heart and vows that he will retaliate by striking Ghazi Yusuf in the exact same spot. Before leaving, Bilal insists Elf take his personal phone number, ordering her to call him the absolute second she faces any trouble. Once Bilal exits, a bewildered Seyhan asks Elf who that dangerous man was, but she admits she has no idea. Meanwhile, outside the house, a group of spotters working for Lala watch the building tightly. One of the hitmen rings up Lala, reporting that Ghazi Yusuf's son is currently trapped inside the house with Miriam's daughter, asking for the green light to execute him right there in the cemetery district. Surprisingly, a panicked Lala fiercely commands his men to abort the hit immediately, ordering them not to touch a single hair on Seyhan's head or harm Miriam's daughter, leaving his henchmen completely confused. Back inside, Seyhan successfully brews the tea and brings it to the lounge, trying to distract Elf from the terrifying encounter. Elf takes a sip and tearfully thanks him, expressing how much his presence has meant to her during a time when her entire world crumbled. Seyhan cracks a warm smile, joking about how difficult it was to locate the ingredients in her scattered kitchen just to make her smile. Late that night, Seyhan finally walks into the Ghazi mansion, where a furious Ghazi Yusuf is pacing the floor. Ghazi Yusuf demands to know why his phone was dead, slamming his corporate negligence. Seyhan calmly explains his battery died. Ghazi Yusuf forcefully warns him that this isn't a game. Lala has crossed an unprecedented line by murdering their warehouse supervisor, marking the first time anyone has dared to directly challenge his empire. Ghazi Yusuf strictly decrees that effective immediately, Seyhan is forbidden from stepping foot outside the mansion without a heavy squad of armed bodyguards. Seyhan tries to argue, but Ghazi Yusuf slams his fist down, declaring that until Lala is completely eliminated, Seyhan will follow his security orders blindly. In the final chilling moments of the episode, Seyhan tracks down Zakaria in the mansion corridors. He demands to know where Zakaria's criminal brother is, ordering that the gold chains, luxury watch, and phone his brother stole while harassing Miriam's restaurant be returned by tomorrow evening. Zakaria nervously promises to handle it. Seyhan then stops Zakaria and asks a lingering, dangerous question. What does Lala actually look like? Zakaria explains that Lala isn't just a low-level street thug, he is a highly sophisticated, dangerous shadow operator, and pulls up a photograph on his phone to show him. Seyhan looks down at the screen and freezes in absolute horror. The face staring back at him in the photograph is none other than Bilal Ahmed, the very man who had just stood inside Elf's house, claiming to be Miriam's brother and vowing a deadly, bloody revenge against the Ghazi family. The episode cuts to black on Seyhan's shocked, sweating face as the terrifying realization of the crosshairs they are all trapped in sinks in.